Today, we're going to talk about why people are so afraid to mess up when they're speaking American English, why they're so afraid of having an accent, and what to do about that. So, recently, I've been listening to my clients, and I realized that all of them have at least one word that they just completely avoid. And a lot of times, this is because they're not confident about how they say it. They've gotten feedback about this word that people can't understand them. They don't like being asked to repeat themselves. And so they'll just completely avoid this word. And the result of this is that they never end up getting better. And in fact, this doesn't end with just one word, but usually there are multiple words or a growing list of words that they have decided they are not going to say. And so I want to talk about this a little bit more and share some ideas for how you can change this. So, the first reason that my clients avoid words is because they will be asked to repeat themselves. So, I think for a lot of people, being asked to repeat yourself feels embarrassing. It makes you feel insecure and it makes you feel like you don't actually know what you're talking about. I want to challenge people that saying that repeating yourself is just a natural part of speaking a second language, that sometimes you're going to make mistakes and that's okay. And that doesn't say anything about you. Repeating yourself is a natural part of the process. And in fact, being asked to repeat yourself can give you helpful feedback to actually improve your pronunciation if you will let it. So, repeating yourself shouldn't be a reason that you avoid certain words. The second reason that people will avoid words is because it makes them, in their mind, feel stupid. All of the clients that I work with are incredibly intelligent people. A lot of them have learned a second language as an adult, which is not easy. Moreover, a lot of my clients have come from very high achieving cultures and have been top of their class, have always scored very highly on tests. In fact, a lot of times that's why they're even getting the opportunities to work in international environments and workplaces. And still, they often avoid words because it makes them, in their mind, feel stupid. And sometimes the people around them, if they're Americans who've not had that much international experience, will misjudge their intelligence based on the way that they say words. So I hope it's obvious, but this is absolutely incorrect that having a strong accent or a thick accent has anything to do with intelligence. You can be an incredibly intelligent person and still have a really thick accent. In fact, I think that sometimes the intelligence in being really caught up in your head is part of the reason that your accent can be thick because you're so much in your brain that you're not really present with what you're saying. But I want to challenge people to not let what others think of them be a reason to hold themselves back from trying new things, from saying new words, from challenging themselves. Being in a new environment, you don't have the background knowledge, you don't have the understanding of the culture, and they don't have that understanding about you either, a lot of times. And so you might get placed with labels that you're not used to having. This actually happened to me when I studied abroad in China. I've always been top of my class, I've always been seen as the smart one. And when I got to China and started speaking Mandarin, everyone thought I was the dumb, pretty girl. And this really challenged my sense of self because I'd never been seen that way before. But I would uh, suggest that you don't let these opinions or these assumptions keep you from working on your American accent. If anything, you should let it motivate you and challenge you to improve. The third reason that I think people sometimes avoid saying words is because the correct pronunciation of the word feels very weird in their mouth. So I was working with a client who was having trouble with the TH sound, and he told me that he avoided words with the TH. After I worked with him to say the TH and he said it correctly, he found it so strange to be saying it correctly, and he felt like everyone was looking at him for having his tongue in between his teeth. So sometimes people avoid saying words because the American pronunciation actually feels way weirder. You get really self conscious. I've had clients tell me that they feel like they're opening their mouth way too much. They feel like everyone's staring into the back of their mouth. They feel like their tongue's sticking out, and it just feels way too weird to say the word correctly. And so they just avoid the word altogether. And with this, I would say that pronunciation is a communication skill, but it's also a muscle skill. You are going to be using muscles that you've never used before so that you can say sounds differently than you've ever said them before. So don't let the feeling weird cause you to avoid a word. Once you practice this word over and over, it'll actually start to feel a lot more natural. So here are some tips to overcome these avoidant tendencies. So first of all, the first tip is to be present. A lot of times we think of ourselves in terms of performance. Did I say that right? Did I get that right? Did people understand me? And while being aware of that is good, a lot of accent is being able to be really present with yourself while you're talking so that you can hear yourself in real time use words correctly. So, my clients have told me that they don't really listen to themselves when they talk. And this is one reason that I think people end up struggling with accent for a long time is because they're thinking so much about the meaning of the words or the grammatical structure that they're not really hearing the way that they say words. So being present is a really powerful practice to improve your pronunciation. Now you might be thinking, but how am I supposed to correct my errors and be intentional about saying words correctly if I don't even know what I'm doing wrong? Well, that's a whole separate video in itself. But if you would like some feedback on your pronunciation, I offer accent assessments that can give you a jump start into figuring out what patterns you have from your first language and helping you transition to use American sounds when you speak English. If you'd like to find out if accent coaching is a right fit for you, click on the link below to set up a meeting with me, and I'll see you in the next video.